Welcome to Coffee Commerce. My name is Sean Ramett, and I'm the grandson of a coffee farmer from Guyana, South America. On Coffee Commerce, we talk about the stories behind coffee, especially as they relate to business, commerce, and culture. We've been talking about coffee and literature. We're going to continue to discuss coffee in the arts, especially as it is dramatized. It could be said that the first dramatization of coffee was in England, and this came about when the reading of Charles II and the Duke of York attended the first performance of Terrego's Wiles, or The Coffee House. This was a comedy in 1667, which Samuel Pepys described as the most ridiculous and insipid play I've ever seen in my life. The author was Thomas St. Cerf. The piece opens in a lively manner with a request on the part of the fashionable hero for a change in clothes. According to Terrego, puts on a vest, hat, periwig, and sword, and serves guests to coffee, while the apprentices act as his part as the gentlemen customers. Presently, other customers of all trades and professions come dropping into the coffee house. These are not always polite or supposed coffee men, only complains about having coffee and about it being nothing but warm water boiled with burnt beans, while others desire him to bring chocolate that are prepared with water because they hate the encouragement with eggs. This bantering back and forth between the patrons and the coffee shop owner are perhaps not necessarily the most ideal specimen for how a coffee house would have been organized. Although this made good comedy, it was not really a fair representation of coffee house talk of that time, but it was entertaining nonetheless. In addition to that, in the play, none of the guests venture into jests or discussions around politics. In the end, the coffee master grows tired of his clownish visitors, saying plainly, "This rudeness becomes a suburb tavern rather than my coffee house," and with the assistance of his servants, he thrusts them out of the doors after the scholars and customers pay. In 1694, there was the published Jean-Baptiste Rousseau's comedy Le Café, which appears to have been acted once in Paris. Although later an English dramatist does credit the work in the French capital, and says that it had received great applause for its one show. Le Café was written by a young man who had little experience in the world and had not written anything in theater before. Voltaire had said of him, "This work of a young man without any experience either in the world of letters or of the theater seems to herald a new genius." About this time in Paris, it was fashionable for the coffee house keepers and the waiters to wear Armenian costumes. This also helps with a stereotype for Pascal when he is in London. There were numerous dramas in England and in France and in other places that focused around the coffee house or around drinking coffee. There was a scene from Mrs. Susanna Centlivre's A Bold Stroke for a Wife, produced in 1719, that was in the Jonathan's coffee house about that period. While the jobbers are taking about in the first scene, the coffee boys are crying, "Fresh coffee, gentlemen, fresh coffee." Henry Fielding in the 1700s publishes The Coffee House Politician, or Justice Caught in His Own Trap, another comedy around the coffee house. James Miller performed The Coffee House, which was a dramatization around the coffee house at Theatre Royal in Drury Lane in 1737. This depicts the interior of Dick's Coffee House, figured with engravements and pieces that published from the verses of the day. James Miller's The Coffee House was in part inspired by the Paris Le Café writing and brings together some of this play as well as some new ideas. So not only was coffee popular with literature, it was popular in the arts as well. using coffee houses as theaters or in theaters, the backdrop of a coffee house. Coffee was here to stay, in Europe anyways. There are many other entertainment factors around coffee, but that's another story for another cup of coffee. Thank you.